Now, please welcome the President of the State Senate, Mitch Carmichael. Senator, good morning. How are you, sir?
It's great. Good morning, Helpy. I'm fantastic this morning.
Good. It's great to have you here. Thank you for coming on. So why are you starting at that point? That is, you're going to take in $4.055 million expected next fiscal year, and you don't want to spend a dime more than that. Why there?
Well, there's a couple ways to explain this, and I think every family, every individual listening to this program can certainly understand this guiding fundamental principle that for too long around West Virginia and frankly throughout our nation has been ignored, completely ignored. What we offered yesterday is a unique, novel approach to budgeting in West Virginia. We're going to do what every family does. We are going to start by spending no more money than we have. That is a fundamental, basic principle that every family has to go through, every business has to go through. You can't spend more than you have. This debate, what the Republicans rolled out yesterday versus what the governor rolled out, is a fundamental debate about the role of government. Do we, at this moment in our history in which we have not made our budget the last 4 or 5 years, we've spent more than we have, do we, as Governor Justice wants to do, increase and lay upon the people of West Virginia the largest tax increase in the history of this state and expand government and spend more than has ever been spent in West Virginia following the years that we haven't even made the budget that we put forth the past several years? Or do we finally right-size this government and spend no more than we have? We want to fund every program and protect every job, and we're going to do so within the budget constraints that we have.
But there have to be whatever you call them, reductions, cuts, savings, whatever you want to call them, you have to make those to get there to where you want to be in terms of the amount of revenue. And if you read Brad McElhenney's story today at wvmetronews.com, he goes through the ones that you all announced yesterday. But I want to get to, and there's things like elimination of the governor's proposed Save Our State Fund, continuing the 2% mid-year budget cuts, which were imposed by then Governor Earl Ray Tomlin, not doing the teacher pay raise, eliminating the Greyhound subsidies, that's $15 million, in the casino modernization subsidy, that's $9 million. Do not do Governor Justice's proposed $5.6 million tourism advertising increase, and a lot of other stuff in there as well. But I want to go to this, Mitch, and you know where I'm going to head, is that there's what you all did not specify was an additional $150 million in cuts that you need to get to achieve your 4.055. And you indicated yesterday that would come from the big three: higher education, public education, DHHR. Can you this morning be more specific about where those cuts will come from the big three?
Well, I think we're being very specific in terms of saying that we're willing to go into those line items. In fact, we're committed. That was the purpose of the press conference, and what for too long, people have been avoiding those areas. And we're announcing to the people of West Virginia that we are willing, able, and ready to go make the tough decisions to spend all the money that we have from the perspective of what the taxpayers have given us on those programs, but we're not going to spend more than we have. This is, to me, we can go through each line item of this budget and we can say, you're going to have to make an adjustment here, an adjustment there. But at the end of the day, it's a fundamental, basic principle that is easy as for anyone to understand, a sixth grader to understand. You don't spend more than you have. And we want to allocate those funds across those different agencies in the most efficient manner possible. And where you talk about there may be a reduction in a spending item over what we spent the previous years, we're also providing the flexibility for those agencies and those entities to use the funds that we allocate to them in the most efficient manner. And I just completely reject the concept of saying we're cutting this, cutting that, when we're really spending all that we have available, like any family in a tough budget crisis. I read this governor's budget, or this his response to our budget framework yesterday. I was reading some of his comments here. This budget doesn't save our state. It doesn't give classroom teachers a pay raise. It doesn't give tourism advertising a bump in money. How can a responsible person putting forth a budget of West Virginia give anyone a pay raise in an environment in which we're broke. We don't even make the money to pay the bills that we had last year. We had to go into our rainy day savings accounts. Sure, we can make adjustments within the context of the money that the taxpayers have given us. But at the end of the day, you cannot spend more than you have.
Well, that's
been
I
the
mean,
problem in cities, counties, and the nation.
Mitch, the argument would be, and I'm sure that Jim Justice will make it when he comes on the 11 o'clock hour, the argument would be is that because there are going to be reductions, whether you call it right-sizing government or spending what you have, to get to that point, there are going to be reductions in public ed, higher ed, DHHR, and some of the other areas you've specified. And Justice has said we can't really cut or reduce anymore. Therefore, people need to pay some more. So you can spend more if people pay more. So that's what he's going to say. So you're saying that tax increases are not on the table for the Republicans.
No, they're not on the table. Here, look at it from this perspective. The state of West Virginia is among the poorest. Our citizens are among the poorest people in the nation. We have the lowest per capita income in America. And a chief executive of the state who just gets elected wants to come in here and tax them more, to put the largest tax increase in state history on among the poorest people in America. Now, is that the way you build an economy? I mean, what free market capitalism and the energized business community, that people want to come here and create jobs and opportunities for our citizens, that's not what they're looking for. They don't want to see a government that is expanding and growing and gobbling up areas of the private sector. They want to know that the people have a right and an ability to keep more of their hard-earned money and to utilize it in the way they see best fit. That's the way you grow an economy. That's absolutely the way you grow an economy.
Senator Mitch Carmichael is with us, the Senate President. I do want to go back to and we can have an endless semantic debate about it, but there's going to have to be, with what you all laid out yesterday, reductions of about $150 million from the big three, DHHR, higher ed, and public ed. Are you all looking at cutting that a third, or how are you going to do that?
Yes, we're beginning from that concept of identifying reductions in those areas and a third. Now, that can change, that can shift, but what I'm saying, and I hope people can recognize it's in essence a bold, aggressive, courageous agenda to say we are willing to right-size this government with the money that the people of West Virginia have given us and to operate government. But it is not reality to go to our taxpayers and shake out of them you know what his tax increase means? $270 per man, woman, and child in West Virginia. Now, for a family of 4, that's over $1,000 that could be used for so many other different vital things that each family and business needs to create jobs and to stay in West Virginia. But to lay that kind of a burden on the people of West Virginia is just wrong, Hoppy.
If you all, and this is the path you've laid out, and you have the votes in the House and Senate to do this, do you anticipate that the governor would if this was what your budget looks like, you think there'll be a gubernatorial veto? Then we start down that path. Do you think that's how it's going to go?
You know, I don't really know how it's going to play out. What I will say is I am looking so forward to working with the governor to come to an agreement in these areas, because I think he's a man of, I hope that he's one who's willing to accept other ideas and take a different view on things. And I think it's best for the people of West Virginia that we all work together, and rather than come at it from a disparaging comments towards one another. I hope you can recognize I've continued to take the high road on this. We're going to work with this governor in the best way that we possibly can. Give him every benefit of the doubt, but this is a fundamental discussion about the role of government in our society. Are we going to reach into the pockets of West Virginians and take out the largest tax increase in state history to prop up this state government? Or are we going to be, a free people that has personal responsibility and allow our citizens to keep more of their hard-earned money to use it in the way they best see fit?
Senate President Mitch Carmichael. Senator, thank you for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Hoppy. It's a pleasure.
All right, we'll be back.